Good morning and welcome to today's live show. If you're not watching this live, make sure to tune into the last 15 minutes because we do break down every single stock that we do cover on this channel. That would be SpyQ's Apple, SpyQ's Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Nvidia, AMD, and we're going to look at Meta as well. Meta will be added to those weekly expected moves as of this Sunday. So if you like to trade Meta back and forth and you're thinking about joining that Patreon, good time to make that happen. So the daily ranges is really what I wanted to first talk about this morning. Very, very big range. I don't know if I would fully take this into full consideration here. So be very careful using these daily ranges today. This is a huge range and something about the math here might not have added up, but maybe it is right. And we're going to see some kind of blow off top today and see some surge in this price action here. So you do have a huge range for the day as far as what I calculated, and when it's this big, I'm a little bit fishy on this thing actually reaching the top side. But if we see that bullishness really continue, we could be blowing off top on a few things, right? We could see Amazon heading higher. We could see Nvidia start to skyrocket. We could see an AMD start to really buy back up, and maybe all of these things do actually push the market higher. Meta, you're noticing getting that big push as well. So congratulations if you were in this trade way down here when we told you about it last week, and you continued to trade like water back and forth, just waited for that crossing again, got into positive territory. So that's good. But I just wanted to show you guys the SPY here, give you those ranges for a little bit on the SPY. 528.63 to the upside, 512.27 to the downside. So you're looking at about a 2% move pretty much either way. And that's just a huge range, so I'd take these with a grain of salt today. Hello, Philip, Amin, Review, Matthew, Billionaire Mind. Good morning, good morning. Remember, just take this with a grain of salt, and then 528.63 to the upside, 512.27 to the downside there. The Q's showing a big range as well, right? The Q's showing a pretty dang big range here. Okay, we're looking at another 2% move up or down. So I do have that 454.88 to the upside, and I do have 432.78 to the downside. Now, I just want to keep saying take it with a grain of salt. This thing could just keep going, though. So we have to pay attention to that. Pretty much, it's like with the Fed yesterday, they were aggressively dovish. I would say that. They were really trying to not convince us that things were good and they're doing a good job. They were trying to force us to believe that they were doing a good job. So really want to pay attention. A lot of people talking about the difference between the SPY and the Qs, and we overall were saying we'll pay attention to that signal. But a lot of the time with this surge in price, we can see this make a new high here. So I'm not confident to say like, oh, that signal's very, very important right now. You want to pay attention to it, but you need the Qs to turn down and not break this high for this difference between the SPY and the Qs to really mean something, okay? So whether the Qs end up flat or something like that, but we have a big range for the day, and you notice the 30-minute was already overbought. We can stay overbought for quite some time, but it's already overbought, and we're starting up at higher prices. Do we see this fade this morning? That will be very interesting. Or do we see that just keep blowing off up to 528.63? So we got to pay attention to those things. Good morning and welcome. Hopefully you have your coffee ready. It is going to be a big one out there. Welcome to the new Patreon people out there. I know there's some people that joined the Patreon. Hopefully you guys were able to benefit from the actual video that we put out. If you were part of Patreon, you knew to get into this AMD trade, or at least we gave you this trading idea, and you made that decision for yourself. Boom, now we can see this 2-hour curl up. You're already in this bad boy. And if this starts to go into positive territory, we can really see some positivity, maybe come up to that gap fill up here around that 210 is where I'm kind of targeting for AMD. But, you know, that would be a huge move. So if I just make money, a decent amount of money this morning early, then I am going to be out of that position. I am not playing around. I'm still trading like water out there. One thing that I also mentioned was Apple, the rotation from Apple back into Nvidia, back into AMD. We notice there's some divergence forming here. If this holds and goes lower here, breaks through this, well, that would be a confirmation of the divergence up here. If you're part of Patreon, you know why you want to be paying attention to this area, and this is something we mentioned in the video yesterday that we put out there. So look for this 2-hour to roll over. That would be the overall full confirmation that this is at least going to test the previous low, and maybe then we test the next one. If we start to break through there, all bets are off. I think this thing might be heading even lower for Apple. So we could get some kind of maybe ABC move, right? We could get this A, B, and then come all the way down to like 160. So really just want to pay attention if this is actually able to roll over. NVIDIA seeing that surge upward. We noticed that little tiny break at the end of the day. Looks like the price target on this is about, 1,030 would be the price point there. So 1033 is the overall price point there. You guys know I don't necessarily follow those measured moves or anything. I usually look at, something that could hold as resistance. So this level up here could be your first point of resistance. If you can gap above that, that would be a good sign. Thank you for your TA. Thank you for being here, Calvin. And thank you guys so much for liking the stream so more people can see it. And we can take a look at SMCI. This is one that I was telling you, hey, this is where it would bounce from, right? So this area here, this gap fill, we actually covered this live a few times. We were just stating, hey, yeah, I see this point as I see this point up here as resistance. This is support. We lose this. This can become resistance. But you're noticing we're gapping back above it as of today. So a solid little almost 20-point move here to start off the morning for SMCI. That's almost nothing for it, right? So you want to see if this 2-hour can curl up. You have that opportunity for more positivity over time. I wanted to put this out there this morning that the fact that the SPY is surging and surging and surging is really making me lean towards a black swan happening very soon. I wanted to put that out there. I know it's just my opinion, but I think it's very, very possible that we could get some kind of black swan event as prices go higher and higher and higher. That is very, very risky for the overall market. But if I'm wrong, that's fine. I can just hedge somewhere up in this area, somewhere up in this area. I can say, hey, just in case, maybe I take a little trade here, take something 2 months out. And then if that just continues in positive territory, I see that curl back up, I can still take calls this whole way. So I'm not worried by any means, but the reason that I'm leaning towards maybe a black swan happening is you're out of the monthly, you're out of the weekly. This daily is huge. That's a blow off top to me if we get all the way up there. And maybe that is a surge in NVIDIA and we see that drop off and we top out. So that's just what I'm thinking, because this is absurd what is happening right now. It's absolutely absurd. Dog's messing around. But that is just my personal opinion. But thank you guys for being here this morning. Market opens in about 5 minutes. Would you guys like to watch the SPY, the Qs, or NVIDIA during the open there? And hopefully that answered some stuff about SMCI to Boosta. And DeBooster saw, I believe you were the one, you commented on the Patreon. You were like, yep, thank you for this. You were like, thanks for the info. Hopefully you found that video helpful. Make sure on those Patreon videos, I know you guys don't watch the whole YouTube video all the time. If you're on the Patreon, watch the whole Patreon video. It's going to tell you some possible trade setups for every stock that we do watch. Powell yesterday made this market 100% political. He actually made it 100% reactive to anything. So the fact that we're heading higher and higher with so much bullishness, so much fear sucked out of the market, that's kind of why I'm mentioning a black swan event, because we're so bullish that you are going to need something really bad to pull back this market, to make this market really crash down. And a black swan event happens right when everyone's bullish. It would take everyone off guard. Yesterday, we were talking about how a lot of traders make a lot of money just by betting, because the market doesn't price in bad things happening very well. So you can get things very cheap that way if you bet that something bad is going to happen. So I'm not saying to take that bet. That's just something that I know a lot of traders do and have success with. And this could be one of those moments. This is the setup for one of those moments. SOXS. This one here, really, I would see this turn around. Okay, so this one, right, you don't want to necessarily do your TA on SOX itself. You want to go over to the semiconductors, right? This is where you want to do your TA. Okay, so you want to pay attention to this 2 hour, but you notice that we could just keep heading higher in positive territory. So really pay attention if some kind of 2 hour divergence forms up in this area, gives you a little hint. Then you go look over at the daily, see that turn down. If this crosses up for a few days and gives you that divergence, good sign that this is heading to lower prices. Okay, this is what you want to use to take that trade. You want to see the trade set up. Okay, see that pull down. Now I can go over to SOXS and then take a position there. Sophia, good morning. Look at Meta for potential short swing 3 months out. It's possible. Meta going up to higher levels too. I don't want you. This is one that I'm really thinking about trading on the way down, because look at this bad boy. And sorry if you hear some crime, but Look at this bad boy. It's really going up. It's hitting a point that's really, really important. So we could see that surge upward, but you notice every time we get above this trend line right now, we're seeing that resistance come in. So this area up here might be a good point to look at Meta for some downside over the next month or two. Li Fu Liu, welcome, welcome. Pal's job is not to be honest. No, he's straightforward with what they're doing, but he doesn't have to tell you what they're worried about, what they see that we don't see, and that's kind of worrisome there. I genuinely think something's coming around the corner. Let's watch the SPY at the open this morning real quick. And we'll look at a 2-hour just to really see if this bar surges. It's kind of hard to keep track of the whole range here unless you're looking at a higher time frame. Mark, that is exact. See, I was saying that yesterday, and some people were like, what? I was like, he doesn't want to be the reason that the market crashes. That's how I see it. And I think he is going to wait for something to break before he cuts those rates. Because he literally said, remember, we've talked about hyperinflation on this channel for about 2 or 3 weeks now, talking about those rates going higher and saying these rates are going higher, meaning, because of that inflation data. So if he cuts rates too soon, you can invite back more inflation, and usually it comes back even worse. Okay, so the fact that yesterday he actually was, talking about, hey, if we cut too soon, we could have inflation come back. That's what I'm really talking about. That's what we were talking about yesterday live. So hopefully you guys, last thing right before we open here, 528.63 to the upside, 512.27 to the downside. Take these ranges with a grain of salt, okay? We could hit this trend line right now and reverse. Okay, so take these with a grain of salt today. It's a big, big range. Qs real quick, just as it opens here, 454.88 to the upside, 432.78 to the downside. Okay, we're gonna watch the SPY this morning. It's coming up right, it's gapping up right to a point where that resistance could come in. Still could make that point of divergence up here as well. And I'm gonna keep my eye down here over on NVIDIA and AMD. It looks like as we're opening up here, we're seeing that, struggle just a little bit. Maybe we do go into like a 15-minute just to see if this thing keeps curling up, if it consolidates and that kind of thing. Bruce, can you go lay down? Bruce, go to your spot. Come on. He's just shaking his head all the time. It's just bugging me. And Apple's starting to hit. God damn, dude. He's shaking his head. It's bugging me. Apple heading to lower levels. That's one that I overall have been trading as well. So this one here actually starting to play out. Tesla, another one that you could take a look at, but people starting to get excited about it. NVIDIA, as we open, I expect to see this push higher and higher. AMD, we could see a similar thing, but seeing it have a little bit of weakness. Maybe people stop going into AMD and really just start to go, hey, yeah, I'm going into NVIDIA here. But this is a good point here where we could have some support for AMD. So just pay attention because we could see a little bit move higher here. Meta, seeing that drop off in the morning here. Nothing too much to worry about, guys. People can take profit and things like that. But remember, this is all the options market has priced in for the entire month for the SPY, and the Qs are heading up to that point. So it's almost there, but the SPY already up there. So we could see that rejection come in as of this morning. How's everyone's trades looking this morning? Amazon all-time high at the open, and that is one trade that I know one of us was in. Where is it? Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? Can't think of his name. Was it Robert? No, More Pando. More Pando was in that Amazon trade that we gave out, and that's a good thing. That's great. I'm very happy for him. He was up over 100% yesterday. So let's go look at Amazon. Look at that thing going to an all-time high. Remember, we talked about Amazon days ago and just said, look at this down here. Looks like we could be getting boom, boom. Then we get this, ramp that up. We could see that new all-time high for Amazon. That's something we've been mentioning, but Nvidia, we'll have to see if that is going up a little bit more. I'm down 800 plus on a SPY short expiring April 19th. Strike price 480. Yeah, that's a rough one. I don't know when you got in that position, but give me 1 second here. All right, we're back. We had to put the dogs away real quick. They were being a little much this morning. Took the AMD trade. Thank you, Patreon. That's what we like to see. That's what we like to see. Now we have to see if that's going to sustain this. Look at that, starting to drop back off pretty quick. But you could get some kind of retest, see that head a little bit higher. So right now with AMD, if you're in this, you really want to see this 2-hour curl up. We haven't seen that yet. So if this curls up, you could have a couple days of positivity going forward. These ranges, I would really take them with a grain of salt. I think unless we just see extreme positivity throughout this morning and then get rejected up in this area, it's a huge move. Now the Qs are already halfway there, right? The Qs are almost there already, so they're already up 1%. The SPY only up 0.5. So Tesla, this is the one that we have another setup for, right? This was on Patreon, so if you're on Patreon, you know what trade we're looking for up in this area. I don't think that this thing, I really think this thing will start to struggle soon. And I'm looking for if this 2-hour just curls down into negative territory. Remember, Qs outside of the weekly at this point, we still have some time left in this market. Now, if this is really bullish, we can use the top as some support to head higher here. All right, so let's pay attention to that. It is going to be very volatile, NVIDIA. And one thing we could look at is volatility. And I just wanted to show you guys how we filled this down here, right? We filled it as of right now, so it can come back in. But we could head all the way down to that 1212. Remember, we talked about 1212 a long time ago, how it's a very good point to pay attention for that volatility to start coming in. Notice we get down to 1212 for a couple of days here. Now volatility has been back for a little bit of time, right? It's creeping up and up. We see this turn down. Now we got to see if anything is going to form from that. I would really say this daily, still want to pay attention for this to curl back up into positive. As it goes negative, we can see that positivity. That's kind of why I'm like, are we going to get a blow off top today? Like, are we literally going to just start pumping? Rivian, we haven't looked at in a while. I don't look at that very often, but I did invest in the stock a long time ago. So we can look at that real quick. I see some Rivian cars on the road, and they're actually kind of sick looking, their trucks and stuff. Okay, Rivian, you got a very obvious head and shoulders here, maybe too obvious, so it's something to look at. But you see this base down in here, you see the left, you see the head. Now we're creeping up to get some liquidity in here. This could head lower. I'm just going to say that straight out the gate. 2-hour here is something maybe we can look at. Look at that, rolls down, gets us back to negative. Now we seem to be doing some kind of flagging. So look for this to curl down into negative territory. That's where I would say, hey, yeah, this is most likely going to break through this little base here. So that's what I would say on Rivian. As far as the 30-minute goes, you're starting to go positive, so you can see positivity. You just really want to take this back and prove that over some time here. William, thank you so much for subscribing this morning. You guys know I appreciate every subscriber in this channel. Make sure to smash that like button so we can get more great people into this live stream. I'm trying to see, there's not really anything else besides look for that 30-minute to roll into negative territory, maybe break through this low, and you can say, hey, there's some downside potential here. Where could this go? Well, it's never been down here. So you're in the unknown, which is very scary. But if that 2-hour rolls over, you have potential for the daily to do that as well. And maybe you get a trade set up soon, right? Maybe we do this and then we get that bounce before earnings. That's what I would really be looking for. It looks like we could bounce before the earnings on a lot of stocks if we see some downward pressure. Right now, not necessarily seeing downward pressure, right? We're seeing a lot of upside here. We're at a point again. If you were in this trade, that's great. All you had to do was trade like water and follow the 2 hour, right? We just follow the 2 hour. It crossed into positive. Isn't it crazy how it's that simple in a bullish market? And this is something you'll learn in the course, which you only have a few days left to get that just for $100, right? And then it's going to double in price. So it's half price for the whole month of March as we do go into possibly a bear market or get some kind of black swan. I really think that's got the potential here. But look how simple this is. Curl up into positive territory. I take my trade right here. Boom. It goes all the way up to 523. You can make great money just by trading very, very simply. Something that we do cover in the course there. Did want to see what TLT is doing early on in the day today, getting that little pop higher. So these yields drifting down, but not necessarily wanting to really collapse. Just a gradual move down. The dollar heading back up after that huge plunge down. We could see some kind of move up in the dollar and then come back down. That's where I would pay attention to the SPY. See if we're able to get some kind of reaction off of the top side here of one of these. So the top side of the monthly here, you have the top side of the weekly. I would really like to stay above the monthly to see that positivity. I think there was profit taken this morning. Yes, there was definitely probably some profit taken this morning. You got to think, this is a huge move, so someone's going to take some profit on it. Nvidia, not the strongest move, really. I mean, this is strong. Don't get me, we said this could probably gap up, right? We said that in the live video yesterday. This is probably going to gap higher. It's gapped higher, but do we give up the gains and kind of fake people out in the morning? Yes, they are inverse, right? But something about this is why I'm saying some kind of black swan could happen. It's another reason why. If you look at the SPY, what have we been doing? We've been going up and up and up. Well, if you look at the dollar, so if you've been paying attention to the YouTube videos and watching the whole thing, the dollar's been going up and up and up too. Sure, we saw that drift down for a while. Now we're going up again. But the SPY, you notice, has just, ever since, right here, it's just been doing this, like this. So right now the SPY's here, the dollar's here. When the dollar does go up, usually you want to see the SPY coming down. So that tells you that most likely a lot of people are sitting cash heavy and selling out of a lot of positions. We know the insiders like Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, those types are selling their stock billions and billions of dollars over the last month. So that could be them selling their stock to retail traders like you guys who are buying, the SPY up in these levels. And that's not necessarily a good point to buy. This is a big warning sign that someone knows something that we do not. Doesn't mean we can't play it back and forth, though. If we're tactical about it, if we're good about it. Look at that. We're starting to break to the upside. We're seeing now NVIDIA not necessarily the biggest participator. Kind of interesting. And yes, you're right. Yep, Mark. Glad I loaded up on INTC. That's great. Nathan should be. One of them is lying. And most of the time it's the market lying. This is probably dumb money. This is probably us, the retail traders, getting into this. Hey man, maybe these measured moves are correct. I mean, I was taking them with a grain of salt, but maybe it's correct. Maybe we are going to get all the way to 454 on the Qs today. Maybe we do surge up to 528 on the SPY today. I mean, I don't want to say it's not possible because the range is there. I'm taking it with a grain of salt this morning. Apple dropping off too, but that could be that rotation we were talking about. NVIDIA not seeing the most strength this morning. AMD just retesting. You see that retest at this point. So we'll have to see if we can get that positivity from here. What type of stocks would that affect the most? As far as the dollar going higher, I would say the stocks that are going to be affected the most are going to be your AI chip stocks. They're going to be Meta. They're going to be Amazon. Anything that is absolutely surging to an all-time high. So I believe like Microsoft and things like that. Netflix, all those kinds of things. Netflix is hitting where it was at the all-time high. You'll see Microsoft, look at that thing. It's just surging higher if we just pull it down to a daily. Oh, well, if this daily divergence confirms, it means bad things for Microsoft. So we are seeing stocks go higher, but we could be getting something really bad coming out very, very soon. I really thought they would use Nvidia to trick people out, get them to really get bullish before something bad happens. So yeah, we still aren't in a point where Nvidia has to crash down, right? We could just see that surge in price. We've seen it before, and it could go up all into next week. It could go up into April, and then we see some kind of trap formed up here. So we could see that trap formed up here, get some kind of daily divergence, and we already talked about that head and shoulders possibly forming. So this is my overall idea with Nvidia here, how I think it would play out. But it doesn't have to at this point. It could come down, retest that 5, maybe test this high, give us some kind of double top. So I'm really just, moving back and forth with my trades. And a lot of stuff giving up the gains this morning a little bit. We want to pop over. One that someone mentioned was IBM. Okay, IBM here, coming down to lower levels. This is where we were talking about this base here breaking, right? So you do have consolidation in here. You've kind of consolidated, but this is a big left shoulder head there, and then you have the right shoulder. So if this wants to break down, see that curl over into negative territory, you're probably dropping to lower levels. Where would you drop to? I'd say this point right here, 182.50. So one to pay attention to, IBM, not looking the strongest as of today, could curl back over into negative territory. Haven't seen AMD or NVIDIA fully see that real strength going forward. Now, this still did cross to the upside, so we can see that positivity come in. We're in positive territory. Got to be open to that. My entire portfolio has formed a head and shoulders. Well then, follow the technicals with your own portfolio there. Richard's out there buying some Vera and some APGE. Thank you guys as always for smashing that like button. I see a few people hitting that like button this morning. Let's try to get to our goal of 100. We have a goal of 100 every single day. And if you're not subscribed, think about it, because people are finding some good trades here. AMD, if you made enough money on that this morning, you can just say, hey, I made enough money. This hasn't crossed yet. So you want this to cross to get some more confidence that this is actually going to go higher than what it did this morning. I expected a bigger move from AMD. I really thought it would come all the way up to 210, maybe even by the end of the week. But NVIDIA also not seeing it's seeing a little bit of strength, but 1% is nothing for NVIDIA. But is that just going to be, a little pause throughout the morning, and then we see that surge? We just see a surge upward. We'll have to see. Intel, I think someone said they were already in this trade, right? Someone in the chat said they were in this trade. I would just say, let's look. I mean, this 2 hours not going to give us help. The daily, look at that. It does not look bad from a daily perspective. If you're even swing trading this actually would be most likely your buy zone. You have divergence down here at the same time above the 200 on this base here. Almost triple divergence, actually. You have triple divergence down here. So this actually could run up pretty good. So you want to pay attention to it breaking through some resistance levels here. But you could come all the way up into this point here, maybe 47.50 or something like that. But this is a very good sign for Intel moving forward. And that's really what I would say. This looks like a good swing trade. That's why I'm saying we could get some kind of blow off top. You're seeing a lot of setups that are saying we can head higher. We're seeing Tesla say, this is confirming on that MACD down here, right? This is confirming that this divergence is playing out, and we have that potential to get to positive territory here. So good potential for some positivity out of Tesla, but we know on Patreon, we were just saying, hey, be a little careful here, but you don't necessarily want to go against that divergence at this point. Apple's one that looks a lot better. This is the one that I am into the downside as of right now. Just took a little trade up here. Now we're seeing that curl over. If that can confirm, I know, hey, yeah, I can stay in this trade. If it would have gone a little bit higher, I would have been stopped out for the most part. So I just take the trade here. I just give a little 1% gap there and then say, hey, yeah, if this curls back over, now I can watch the 2 hour if that curls over, see if that goes into negative territory. Be confident in this trade moving forward. Good morning. Let's see. Nvidia really giving it up this morning, not necessarily seeing that strength. You might expect that a little bit, right, from some stocks, as we are pretty overbought on a lot of other stocks, but not necessarily that overbought on Nvidia. So that's interesting. We're not necessarily seeing any real strength come forward. See if AMD maybe creates that triple divergence as well down at this low if it wants to cross into negative territory, but it's just starting to go positive. So we have some time this morning to be patient, see if that goes positive here. But I said, we want to take profit early in this market. So if this big move up into here was good for you, might be a good time. Hey, yeah, take my profit up at this high here. SPY crashing? No, SPY's just hesitating right where I expect it to. That's why I was saying take these daily ranges with a grain of salt. You have the SPY going up into a point where you could see weakness. Okay, you have the SPY going up into a point where you could see weakness. So what you'd want to see from the bullish perspective here is actually probably this to consolidate down a little bit, see that react off of the top of the monthly here or off the top of the weekly here, and then see that go. So you could get this gap to fill and then see that start to surge. On the 1 minute? Yeah, okay. Well, if you're paying attention to a 1 minute, then stocks are going to be crashing every other day. Every pullback, every 15 minute swing, you're going to be like, oh, SPY's crashing. Q's here. Probably a good shot to use the top side of the weekly expected move. Be careful of it fades though. So if this one comes down to here, you can start to use the top as rejection. That's something we'll pay attention to. But I mean, making a new high above this one at this point, you had a slightly higher low down here. You can come down, make another higher low down in this area. Maybe we test that high. So really just follow the 15-minute, crosses down, crosses back up in positive territory. Coins, one we were talking about yesterday, giving you that 30-minute divergence you could be in and then see that surge up. Wait and see if that 2 hour can curl up. Guess what it did? It's in positive territory. So we were just saying now you can test that high. Go make a new one. It's like hard to watch these stocks because the range is so big. I want to watch like shorter time frames and stuff. Not necessarily seeing even a 5-minute divergence here, guys. So you really would like to see at least a 5-minute divergence with a strong move like this. Prove that the momentum's really dying out. This is nothing to worry about at this point, unless you're looking at those 1-minute charts, Nathan. But you can see it's not like rapid selling or anything like that. So this isn't any news or anything. We can see what they're overall talking about this morning, but Fed euphoria keeps U.S. stocks on track for more gains. That's pretty much what's happening. The VIX here, you see this 15-minute divergence, but it's pretty far away from positive territory. Be a little careful, but this means it could roll up the 1 hour. So just notice 1 hour really beat down. Sorry, baby girl's crying. Yes, Mark, and I think that's where, one, we're gonna have to pay attention to the data if the craziness continues and we just keep going up. But I'm really leaning towards a black swan at this moment, just because the SPY hitting an area where that can really happen. Peak euphoria can come in around this area, and we're seeing things like Apple go negative, Tesla go negative, Nvidia not seeing the most strength, AMD not seeing the most strength. So after a big announcement, after that aggressive dovishness, you'd really like to see these popular stocks really popping. So overall, I think as long as these rates remain higher and the 10-year kind of remains at this level, which looks like it's about to curl up again, right? Positive territory, we could break through. That could be very, very bad for the overall market. Maybe the bond market itself actually pushes these rates higher. That might cause some kind of crisis with banking, and that could be very, very bad. However, if the Fed is forced to cut, that's usually the worst case scenario. But that happens almost every single time in history where something really bad happens. The Fed is forced to cut because something is breaking. This potential move past this 4.362 will put those banks under a ton of pressure, and then we could see that divergence proven up here. It could give us a hint like, yeah, they're going to be forced to cut. The good part about that is when they cut because they're forced to, usually you go into recession, you have some kind of deflationary event, and that means that the inflation most likely will not come back. So you're really, really fearful. They're fearful of inflation coming back. You hear it in their tone yesterday, but they're still trying to tell you that everything's okay. Now, I'm just here to tell you, if you've been in this, if you've been a part of the economy in any way in America, things aren't okay. The grocery store prices aren't okay. Oh, everyone has jobs. No, they don't. No, they don't. All the illegal immigrants now have jobs, and we're just funneling more money. We're having to borrow $800 billion to get a $300 billion growth in the country, and that is very, very sick. Tesla 2180. If you were part of Patreon, you know what I think up in this area about Tesla. I'm just going to tell you that it's above its expected move, and it is starting to fail here. Look for that to cross. Apple's the one we're paying attention to as well. If that one starts to cross, could mean some big downside is coming for Apple and maybe even Tesla, but we want to see if this is rotation. If this starts to sell off and we see Nvidia and AMD start to pump, that could be people rotating out of Tesla and Apple back into Nvidia, AMD. So we just want to see more strength here. This isn't strength, right? We wanted to hold this higher, keep going up. It's all sick at this point. It's worse than sick in my opinion. Sick would be like what, 2016 or 2016 to 2018. The absolutely infected would be where we are right now. Gabo, salutations. All right, we'll zoom in a little bit here. Just pay attention to this price action right here. See what happens. And I'm actually going to erase that flag just so we don't have a bunch of lines up on the screen. I'm going to erase my flag at this point. Erase this wedging too. This is what I wanted to show you guys on the US 100 here. So I do have this trend line that goes back, right? So we connected these levels here. Maybe you want to connect this one. That might be a little bit better, but I just connected these because it touched about 3 times, and I thought that that could be important. So maybe this actually comes up a little bit higher throughout the day, but you'll notice these divergences. It's starting to get steeper to the downside, closer to negative territory. That's why I'm saying like, hey, we could really see something bad come around the corner here, because no one would expect it at this area, but I'm expecting it because we are surging higher. We know that inflation started to tick back up. And the bond market's really telling them, hey, yeah, you said again that you're not going to do anything. You're not going to raise rates. You're not going to cut rates. I think the Fed is really just waiting for something to break. I don't think they want it to be their fault at this point. I don't think I've looked at Spotify lately, but this could see some positivity as far as a swing trader goes, right? You got your little bit of a pullback here. You could see some divergence. There's no divergence here. I would just say this is euphoric still in this move. So you want to be careful with this one, as you could be forming some stuff. Let's see if you could have made a trade here, though. You see these divergences, a bunch of divergences down here with this price action, right? But you notice once it goes positive, boom, we see that positivity. So good trade here. You actually see this little cup being up in here. You get the handle. Now we head higher. You're coming up into the first point where you could see that resistance. See if you can break through there. Then it's a good shot. You test the high. Did the 2 hour curl up? Yes, it did. I mean, I'm going to assume it did. It's going positive, which just tells you I can come test this high. I can make a new one, but this is into negative territory a little bit deeper. So we could get this to roll back over, get that lower high. So there is potential for some lower high setups. That's why I want to pay attention. If I see the 2 hour at all curl up in the VIX, I'm selling out of everything, literally everything, because if this starts to break to the upside, it can be very, very bad. But as of right now, that's not happening. So even though we're talking about bad things, look at the SPY. It's chilling. This is chilling. So Spotify, I mean, as a swing trader, it looks okay. You could test that high, but for where it's at in the grand scheme of things, I wouldn't be near it. I'd rather, take those trades like Tesla down where it was, or take the Apple trade down where it was, where it gave me some divergence, especially on Tesla. That was a trade I actually took this week to the upside. I'm already out of it because I'm so worried something is going to happen that we don't expect. I genuinely think the Fed expects it. I really do. The way they're aggressively dovish, I'm like, come on. But it doesn't mean that we can't find trades. We found the Amazon trade. We found the AMD trade this morning. We found the Tesla trade. We found the Meta trade. We found a lot of things that can go higher. And we even showed you on the 2 hour. If you just took a SPY call for the next day on the 2 hour, when it crossed, or 2 days out, you would have made good money. So really interesting to see Nvidia just completely backing off here, and AMD just that this looks like profit taking. That's some profit taking. So because there's no news behind this at this point, that is just people being like, I want out of this mess. So see if anyone else wants to join in on the party here as we approach this gap fill. Nvidia, same thing. We approach the gap fill. We get that support to come in. So this is some profit taking early on in the morning. See if that can make a second move higher. The second move might be the right move. We do have some puts trickling into the market as of right now. Tesla, once again, this could be rotation. This could be profit taking on Tesla. This is where we expect profit taking. If you're part of the Patreon, this is what you expect up here. So Apple, the same thing. We expect that up here. So Apple, the 30-minute is going to look pretty good. Qs here. See, this isn't anything to really worry about. As long as we're holding at higher levels, holding at this high, consolidating, I would be confident to say, hey, this 5-minute, it can consolidate all at once. We can see little pops, little drops, little pops, little drops. Get that to kind of flag out. See that reaction off of the top side of the weekly expected move. You're the man, Paulie. You're like the next version of Paulie D. You're Paulie E. Bitcoin, sorry, Juan Pablo Montoya. I love your name, man. I love that name. That's so sick. If you guys know me, when I used to do my Bitcoin videos, this surge did take me by surprise. I'll 100% admit that. Could you have been in this trade? Yes, you could have, right? So just looking at the weekly, you guys know that I used to trade Bitcoin based on 4-hour divergences or weekly crossings on the MACD. You see this buy signal right here above all the moving averages. That is a good point to get in as you are curling up into positive territory. So really, I thought we were going to get left head, right shoulder, but then we get that confirmation bar up. This bar here would be the solid bar to be like, yeah, this thing's going higher. So we go higher, consolidate to 5, go higher. The problem I'm having with this is I still believe something bad's coming, and Bitcoin can be very volatile. We're seeing it buy back up though. So this could just consolidate and we could see this continue. But I'm still leaning towards Bitcoin going to this zone most likely by 2025. By the end of 2025, I'm really going to expect Bitcoin to go to here. And then I think Bitcoin will go to like $100,000. I really do. I think Bitcoin will go to 100K sometime in the next, maybe like 5 years. I really think that could happen, but I think it needs to dip way down before that happens, based on the economy, based on inflation, based on the buying power of the overall market, the amount of credit that is in the market right now that is going delinquent. Bitcoin can come down. I know that you guys have researched Bitcoin and know that people literally took out credit cards, took cash from the register at a grocery store, and then put it all into Bitcoin. And that is happening all throughout this run. So if this actually starts to fail, those credit cards, we know those delinquencies are ticking up at this moment. Credit cards, right? So 3-month, you see that uptrend, you see that? So we have divergence here on credit card delinquencies. Delinquency rate. You see the delinquency rate on credit card loans, all commercial banks, boom, we can see that thing surge. So commercial real estate going to suffer pretty hard. This is something I've shown a few times. Very good to pay attention to this, because the last time we curled up into positive territory on this chart here, we noticed, what was it? Well, it was 2008, it was 2007 to 2009. It's a big drop you're expecting. Yes, big drops take time, Polly. Big drops take a lot of time. I'm not saying it's going to be like, oh, tomorrow. No, I'm saying like, yeah, it could take a long time. I think that we might be in a bear market for years because we're dependent on data. Unless we see that black swan event happen, then we could see dramatic prices. But still, even with black swan, the fact that we've gone up so far, you have plenty of places where you can get bumps in the road. Yeah, not overall saying like, oh, this is going to go like that. No, I'm thinking it'll be like this. There's tons of bumps that could come into the road. Yeah, actually, I have Max Payne up on the left side of my screen, so I will pull that up for you. Max Payne for today, people pretty bearish on the day, 1.5 put to call ratio. That put wall sitting at 440, and we are at 447 at this point. 444, what you want to hold above right now. We're able to hold above that. We can head all the way maybe towards 452 today. So 452 today, we could look at our daily expected moves. Where do we have that daily expected move? 454. So even though you're seeing that profit taking come in, 444 could be that point of some support, which happens to be pretty dang close to our weekly expected move. So wouldn't be surprised for this to consolidate and then want to head higher later on in the day. Now, it's good to look at tomorrow as well. Big put ratio as far as tomorrow goes. Call wall 449. First put wall, I guess 440. So if we hold above that, then those people go underwater. 435 and 430 is really what we want to pay attention to, that 430, if we see any negativity in the Qs. What about my take was crazy, Pammy? The fact that I was like, yeah, this thing's going to go higher. As we pretty much have been saying, like, I was pretty much I was like, this thing's gonna go higher. I thought Nvidia and AMD would participate more, but nothing just yet. Two put to call ratio here, so 2-to-1 ratio there, and 516. First point we want to pay attention to any downside here. See if we can hold above that 516. You notice the calls are nowhere to be found, so a lot of puts coming into the market today. And then for tomorrow, though, we see all these big calls, right? But we see a lot that's still that 2.18 put to call ratio. So maybe these are some big boys taking some trades. Maybe these are retail traders just getting that 515, 520, 525, 530. But you see all the puts down in this area. So really just want to pay attention. 515. If we can hold above that, then you want to hold above 520. Right now we're above 520. So then you want to say, okay, maybe I can target 525. And then you would say, okay, well, where do my weekly or where do my daily range land to? 528. So above 525 would make sense. Is Tesla looking good to downside? 30-minute divergence here, so look for that 2-hour. Look for this to confirm first, and then see that 2-hour fully roll over. So something like Apple, right? Apple's seeing this negativity. I'm in this right now. I'm in this to some downside. Now I want to see, is the 2-hour able to actually cross and go negative here? Looks like it might be doing that with Apple and Tesla. Seems like people rotating out of that. Nvidia now up 1.14 again. So that's one thing to pay attention to if we start to gain that back. But we're really just seeing that profit taking early on in the day today. So daily MACD on Tesla, it is crossing to the upside, okay? So you have to be open to, even though we see some negativity, I think maybe even a black swan could be out. Tesla, from a momentum perspective, is saying that this is a decent buy. That's what I would say. This is a decent buy, and I don't necessarily buy. This is where you guys know I actually do follow exactly what I say. Why am I not trading Tesla? Instead, I'm trading Apple. Why am I not taking any shorts on Tesla, even though I'm seeing roughly the same signal on the 30-minute here? Well, I'm not going to take shorts on Tesla because it's crossing on its MACD to the upside with divergence. I do not trade stocks. I do not take shorts on a stock that crossed on its MACD to the upside. Yeah, so the principle behind what I just said is Tesla can show me 30-minute weakening, right? Weakening in momentum. But is the 30-minute going to be stronger with weakening in momentum saying downside, or is a daily MACD going to be stronger with divergence to the upside? So in my trading history, I've taken these trades before and they've gone the wrong way on me. So I just wrote a note for myself and I said, do not do this anymore. Because this momentum is, and I'm sorry she's crying, but this momentum is stronger than that 30-minute momentum. That 30-minute could just pull you back to the 5, and then you see this rip higher because of this daily. You can see that for quite some time. So the 30-minute can remain overbought for a long, long time, and this daily is telling you, hey, I got divergence down here. I could head higher, so why would I take, shorts on this when the daily is telling me, hey, this could move higher? Good principle here. Look at Apple. The last time we said this was bottoming, triple bottom down here. Well, not triple bottom, sorry, triple divergence down here. Seeing that cross up into positive territory. If I take a short at this point, I would be absolutely ruined. Here, let me say bye to my girls real quick. I'm going to put you guys on the SPY for a moment here on the 5-minute. Just let you guys watch that while I say bye to the girls. Yeah, turn them on. Sorry, guys. Baby girl has to go to the doctor today, and she's upset. She is upset. Oh, you can't see me. Oh, god dang. Now it's the dogs. Everyone's going nuts here. Maybe it's the Black Swan about to happen. I don't know. This remaining at higher levels. Okay, let me go take care of these guys. All right, hopefully everyone's settled down in there. Yeah, I had one dog, and my wife had two, and they're all little. They all have their good things and bad things. We'll put it that way. But Bruce, our pit bull, that guy's nuts. Yeah, we might have more babies. We'll have to see. Right now, one is enough for us at this point. I don't. At this point, it's like part of that stage in parenting where I assume people can understand where it's like, I don't want to go through this for a little while, but maybe in a couple of years or something like that, I'll be like, okay, I'll think about it. I think QQQ is consolidating to then move to the upside. Am I being too bullish thinking that way? I mean, not necessarily. You just want to see consolidation first. I think if you're thinking that way, it's perfectly fine. If we're using this as support, if we're using this gap as support, and you don't see that dramatically sell, right? If we see it dramatically do that, that could be bad. Now, NVIDIA and things like that look like profit taking. So this here is consolidation at this point. If you just do this for a while, you can see that curl back up on the 5-minute in positive territory. Think very simply today. This is a bullish day. We just got bullish news. So yes, we could top out very soon. Something bad could happen, but until that does happen, just pay attention to MACDs, guys. If this has a structure, heads a little bit higher, see that crossing up in positive territory, we can go higher. We know that the daily move today, 454.88 to the upside. So we have to see what's actually happening with that. Amazon, see, this is profit taking. You see that dramatically pull down, but immediately buy back up. So now you have that chance for some kind of consolidation here to head higher. NVIDIA as well looks like profit taking, as that did not continue for quite some time, right? We're just kind of stopping at the gap. AMD, same thing, stopping right before the gap. So that gap support comes in, and then we can see that buy back up. But we need this to get some real positivity. I mean, you really expect a good move from a lot of these stocks. Apple, though, telling you a little different story. Apple on the 30-minute, this is dramatic selling for a 30-minute, getting that to cross. So now I want to see is the 2-hour crossing. Okay, if this 2-hour crosses, I can remain in this trade for quite some time. So if you're cutting out of trades too early, one, take your first position smaller, because a lot of the time with my trading style, what you want to do is take, this one here. Let's say this here, it's still within this like little channel I got going here. So if it comes and creates another point of divergence up here, I either want to say, yes, I'm going to get out for a brief moment, see that head up. My dog's carrying around. My dog just brought me his water bowl. He never does that. So I just want to say, like, what I like to do is take a small position that I know I can make decent money on. And then if I see that curl back up, if I'm really pretty convinced like, hey, yeah, this is going to be an area here where I want to pay attention to downside, then I'll even be willing to take a small bit of losses here in order to take a bigger trade to kind of price in the future. So I am a position style. So I trade like a month out, which would just mean like it keeps my price of my option not hurt that bad. If I see one more swing up, like if it retests the high, I can get into that position again. Where's the water then? What are you talking about? You talking about the trade like water? The trade like water is a lot more like get in, get out, take your profit early. So trade like water is Tesla. We saw those things down here. I take a trade here. I see that come up. I take my profit. Now I'm looking to get in the other way. This is trading like water, right? Like what is it? A day and a half ago, I was in Tesla. Now I'm out of Tesla. Okay, now I'm in Tesla, or well, Tesla's the one that's crossing on its daily, so maybe I should still talk about Apple. But so if Apple was doing it, it's like take the trade here, see it break to the upside, get the retest, get in. Okay, now I see the divergence, I'm out. Okay, now I'm in the other way. I'm in the profit here. If I make enough profit here, I'll get out. Oh, it is very, very empty right now, and he just brought it to me. So I'm gonna go fill the water bowl. I'm coming on the stream, coming off the stream, like for the dogs to get water. My gosh. You guys are starting to see what life's like when I get off stream. I'm just busy, busy, busy the whole time. So yeah, 30-minute though. I know you were talking about the dog bowl, but trading like water is always good to talk about. It just means I'm taking profit earlier, looking for the next trade right after I take profit. SPY on the 30-minute here, we're just seeing it head a little bit higher. Something we really need to see here is NVIDIA see that positivity come in. AMD see that cross on this MACD down here. SMCI, we kind of gave those thoughts yesterday, how we were saying this is the area where you can see a bounce. Right at this gap fill is where I thought a bounce would come. Look at that, we're getting that bounce. See if that curls up, positive territory. If that can get there, if that can get there, you can come test this level again, right? You can come test this high. I have the high marked off just in case, but you can see that tested. We will show the doggies. We'll show the doggies next week when things aren't so crazy here. We got baby girl's got a doctor appointment. She's not that happy. She's had a lot of tummy aches lately. So we got to be a little bit now, one thing I think we mentioned here was this 15-minute divergence. You see it just barely creating it on the MACD, but you see it on the RSI at the same time. So this is what we were suggesting. It's just these are pretty expensive options, and I like to take month-out positions, so I don't really want to put $6 grand behind one contract. I just don't feel that that's productive. Because if this just did this and then did that, it's like I would lose like $3,000 maybe. So I'd have to be like very in, out, in, out. So, but this was a good little trade setup. Another one that had it, AMD, we see it. So you just don't want that to curl back over. Negative territory for the MACD here. Just means this might be a false breakout. Do I think that's happening right now? No, I think we could see more positivity going forward. The SPY wanting to head higher. Q's a little bit weaker here, but we can pay attention to these types of things. The 5-minute, if this thing just curls down, curls back up, it's going to probably be a good sign. It really looks like it does. It really looks like it does. Doesn't mean it has to, though. That's your confirmation there. So that's why I said, like, you want to be taking profit early. If you're in that AMD trade and you made like 100% this morning with that top from this morning, you might have been out of that trade. Then you can come down to the gap fill, get back into the trade, and see if that 2-hour crosses, pretty much using the market's money, right? It's like using free money at that point because you just made 100%. So you can just take that trade for free now and see what happens. Be willing to take a loss or have a stop a little bit lower. Let's see if the VIX is able to see some buying back up. Remember, we were showing this little 15, or it's on the 5-minute, but the 15-minute had that divergence down here. Want to see if that can curl back up. I think this has a good shot to go down to that 12.12 level, but dollar creeping up and up and up. So that's what you really got to pay attention to. Now you might have a 15-minute divergence or anything just on the RSI up here. So this could be some kind of pullback to then head higher soon. So we could see that positivity come in. Home builders seeing that break to the upside as well. Or I'm sorry, the housing sector, home builders seeing that buy up on the nail there. I like nail, but we're able to cross above this level here. See that gapping up. Good sign for the housing sector here, but is that going to fade throughout the day? We'll have to see. High yield growth, seeing that move higher as well. That's what the market really wants to see too. High yield growth participating is actually a good sign in this bullish move. IWM, another trade setup that we kind of gave on the 30-minute, another 30-minute one we really liked. IWM, look at that move from this base. Gosh dang, you would have made some money here. So you see the head and shoulders. Boom, we head higher. We break through a zone, we touch the top of it, now we see that surge in price. This is getting way overextended, so take profit should be on people's minds. Same with this. This is way overextended, so you're expecting this to consolidate up here. Man, NVIDIA not seeing that strength. What do you think? It depends. It really depends, Gabo. What do you do if the MACD is looking downside for the 15-minute but upside for the 30? If it has divergence behind it, like I said, I'll take a small position. Let's see. Let's look at AMD probably. Okay, so AMD 30-minute, right? We're seeing that cross into positive territory. You can take a small position right here that will make you some money. You can say, oh, if this goes up, I'll make money. Wait for that 2-hour to cross. But if you notice the 15-minute, looks like it might roll down. So if the 15-minute does roll down, then I can either get out of this trade if it crosses on the 15-minute down into negative territory and then acquire that later on with possibly a double bottom or just creating another point in divergence that gets me closer to positive territory. Or if I'm confident in it and I have a pretty long out expiration, I can just not be scared by this move down, lose 20%, and then add some money into this to kind of get scaled into the position and then see that move up. So then at this point, you just really want to make sure to see that confirmation very soon. And then if you come below this point, I would say on the MACD, I would be out of that until I see that fully base out. So if it's going to take more time, I would probably have to see this cross down on this MACD here. That would pull me down to lower levels. I'd say, hey, let me wait here for a moment. Okay, now it pulls back up because you don't want to get caught in anything super dramatic to the downside. You just want to be like, okay, well, I'll take the loss here. Didn't add that much. Carlos is short AMD and long NVIDIA or NVDL? Apple looking pretty good there, actually. So my trade on Apple is starting to look pretty good. Let's see how much we've made on that. We're up 65% on Apple as of this morning. But this AMD trade really starting to fade. So that's exactly what I'm paying attention to, Gabo. I'm paying attention to exactly what you're looking at here, seeing if this can just curl down on this MACD. Most likely I will get out of this position just in case something like awful happens. But then I can get back into the position if I see this create another point of divergence here. Triple divergence on 15-minute, very, very good at saying that hourly will curl up. So this 15-minute divergence, if it creates a triple one, I would say, hey, this hourly most likely won't even cross down. This might just be very brief and then curl back up, kind of reject here. But a 30-minute, you really want this to confirm on the 2-hour, because if this 30-minute rolls down and gives you triple divergence, then it's a good shot. Triple divergence on the 30-minute, good shot. The 2-hour is going to roll back up. So maybe it's just prolonged for a moment, but as of right now, we're seeing everything start to really hesitate or pull back. Even Amazon's starting to look like it wants to keep pulling back a little bit. So we just want to make sure that's not too dramatic. AMD actually going negative. Okay, so this is a point where you could say, hey, if you think something really bad is going to happen here, you can wait for this divergence to play out. You can say, hey, let me just be careful here just in case. And if that just curls right back up, goes positive, you see the 2-hour cross, then you can say, okay, I'll get back in. So you could just get back into this over here. Good point to say, hey, yeah, I had potential to make more money this morning, but making a little bit of money is better than losing money. Now my Apple puts up 70-80% on the day. And I'm going to hold that bad boy, because if that crosses down, I could be in some good money there. But Apple telling you that there's weakness here. If this isn't rotation, we're not necessarily seeing that rotate into NVIDIA and AMD. Apple kind of telling you like, hey, this is bad. I might hold on to that one for a moment. Thoughts on Intel? We already stated like Intel looked like it could, for a swing trader, it got a little bit of that pullback and then you curled above the moving averages. So from a swing trading perspective, it looks good. But you have to be worried about, some kind of lower high setting up. So around this area, you just want to see, is it going to create a right shoulder on the 2-hour here? That would be huge, right? If it creates that right shoulder, that could be pretty big, right? That would make a lot of sense. But on the daily scale here, you're just noticing you're curling up. This has been pulled back for quite some time. Maybe we do get that to actually buy back up. There's divergence here too. So you have to pay attention. It's on the MACD and RSI at the same time. So you see that downward move. You see this up, which just means Intel can pop here. So you really want to be careful with this, as we are seeing things like Apple go down 2.5% now. So I got to keep an eye on this option. I'm now up 100% on this thing. You guys know, once I hit about 100%, that's when I start thinking, ooh, I could probably just sell out of this thing. So we got to see if they're rotating at all, and I'm not necessarily seeing that full rotation just yet. Tesla, same thing. Look at that, 30 minutes. So even though it's crossing on that MACD to the upside for the daily, you're noticing 30-minute divergence up here. If you're part of Patreon, you know what we're talking about here. Just got to be a little bit cautious. If you are taking this, be cautious. I'm not taking this one. I took the Apple one just because this one has crossed as of today on its MACD to the upside on the daily. Apple, not necessarily, right? So Apple on the daily here, we're noticing it's crossed up, but it's been a few days. So that tells me like, hey, this is the potential here for some kind of drop. And then maybe I see that little daily divergence soon. So that's what I'm really paying attention to, and why. And it's kind of why I'm saying like Apple looks like it could bounce soon, which could be they rotate into AMD, they rotate into NVIDIA, get that thing to pop, and then people take profit on AMD and NVIDIA, and then we see Apple start to make that move higher to get a more sustainable bounce. More sustainable bounce would mean that like, hey, we do this. We start doing something like this. We pull back down. We see a big move up past this. Then we touch inside it. And then we go higher with some kind of ABC move. Tesla kind of telling you like, hey, I could do that right now. So you see how Tesla has the divergence. It's kind of telling you, hey, I could do that right now. So if Tesla's telling you on the daily, I could really start to bounce, a 30-minute play might not be the best option, is what I would say. Let me check some stuff over here. AMD just might take too long. I might have to get out of this position. It's just taking way too long, guys. But I feel like it's one of those moments where it's like I get out of it and then it surges. So it's kind of like, ugh, dang it. 15-minute though, if that starts to roll over, I'm getting out. Well, we'll do it that way. We'll do it that way. DOJ sues Apple? No way. DOJ sues Apple. Is that real? No. No. I'm gonna go look that up. Apple shares drop on news of impending U.S. Department of Justice antitrust suit. Apple sued in a landmark antitrust lawsuit. DOJ to sue Apple in antitrust case. I might have to. That's a great sign for my puts. But that's not going to do the best thing to the overall market, right? So I feel like this area here, I'd be silly unless this crossed over to actually get out of this. But that is crazy. Thank you for informing me about that. That's crazy. So in the end, it was a bear trap? Wait, no, wait, what? Apple was a bull trap. Biggity, biggity, bull trap. Let's see how much that position's up now. Still up 100% here. And it is heading lower. Let's see, now that the 2 hour looks like it hasn't even crossed yet, guys. So at this point, I could say, hey, I could hold this position all the way down to this low, 168.50, see if that drops down. Maybe I just get rid of it at 170 if that happens very quickly. If it happens very, very quickly, we just break through or gap through this level or gap through this level, then I can hold it for a little bit longer. But as of right now, Apple doing exactly right. I've traded Apple so much, guys, okay? It gaps through a zone, touches it, goes down further. Then a lot of the time we get attracted to that zone again. We go even further down. So I really think we have a good shot to take out this low on Apple now. Doesn't mean we can't see a bounce in the future, though, with some kind of daily divergence at down in these levels. So I will probably be out of this position if we get down towards like a 170. I'm very fluent, so I'm more so I'm not like targeting areas. I do target areas, but then I look how fast it gets there. And if I made enough money before it even gets there, then I'll just be like, okay, cool, I'm done. In a market like this, that's been really, really helpful for me. That NVIDIA 2 hour right now, it's telling you there's going to be some positivity. Telling you there's going to be some positivity if AMD can cross. Hasn't crossed yet, though. So you have that little tiny divergences down on the 2 hour RSI, but nothing on the MACD. So we'll have to see if we see some support for AMD. Meta seeing a good move higher. So this was surprising to me. Meta actually seeing that good move higher. Very, very interesting to not necessarily see that in other stocks as well. Damn, I'm up at 135 on my Apple trade now. Like 135%. So if this thing just keeps going, goes pretty quick to the downside, like I'm really just, you never know when that bounce could come, and that's what I'm overall saying when I say, hey, take profit early. Enjoy the chaos. Sit back and watch it. Take little trades back and forth. Make little bits of money. Lucas, where do you get Bloomberg? If you want to watch Bloomberg, you literally just go to YouTube. And I just watch Bloomberg on YouTube for the most part. They just type Bloomberg Live, and it'll say like Finance Bloomberg Live. How do you calculate the percentage gained on my option? What's your experience with Apple? How many contracts do I have? I think for this one, I like I said, I'm doing small ones. So for this one, I am only doing 2 contracts. But you guys know I like to buy my contracts with a longer expiration, just in case I see wonky price action. I need to scale in or something like that. So I have my small position in Apple, 2 contracts about a month out that are playing out really, really well as of right now. So I literally only have 2 contracts because I'm like, this could be some scary, scary price action. I could be totally wrong, and this could really start to surge higher. I'm not trying to make a lot of money in this trappy market as of right now. I'm really just trying to say, like, okay, I'm going to take my little bits where I can and then try to play the overall downfall. So, like, even Apple right now, because it's moving so fast to the downside, I'm thinking about taking profit here. 155% in an hour is very, 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 very good. But this hasn't even crossed on this MACD, so I'm tempted to hold it longer. The old style of me would just say, hey, sell and go away. Sell it and go away. Look for the next trade. This is a very good trade, but as I just have a little bit behind it, I'm like, do I just leave it for a while? Yeah, good. It is a good fly. It's really helped me out. And we talk about it in the course, guys. So down below that course that's down there, I talk about it in the course, and it's part of my bear market strategy, actually, is to just be taking money early. So double my money on an option, and it says 50% gained. Wait. Percent gained. Yeah, that's not right. Yeah, percentage gain is pretty easy. If your contract's worth $1 and then it's worth $2, you know, that's 100%. Feel like a good catalyst for the VIX, but it's not really moving. Yeah, nothing's really moving at this point. I really think that NVIDIA, I actually think even with this Apple bad news, people will just rotate out of Apple, go into NVIDIA and AMD. So NVIDIA still crossed on that MACD. It's still saying positive. AMD telling you a little different story. So really wanted to see some strength out of AMD today. And we got that strength. So hopefully if you're able to make some quick money there, that was good. But we could see this go on, you know, throughout the rest of the day. Don't be too scared out of anything. If this 15-minute rolls over, that's when we can be like, okay, there might be some more downside. Maybe we have to look for double bottom. I'll probably be out of this trade if this just curls back over. Apple, there's probably going to be a bounce somewhere in this area, right? This zone was where those buyers stepped in, so but good sign. This has to go negative. 2 hour has to cross for me to really remain in this trade. But it's like, you know, I could find other things. I could trade Meta now. I could trade AMD. I could trade not Palo Alto. I could trade Microsoft, right? Microsoft probably showing me a 2 hour divergence. Like, look at that. This one looks like a decent setup for some downside. So part of me wants to just kind of rotate my stuff back into other trades. So yeah, just because of that, I'm going to be very, very diligent here, try to sell out of some stuff. That. But I have this Apple trade all the way into April, so I am okay with chilling. What I like to do is also I like to get out of trades when I see some kind of bounce coming. So like if this 30-minute would make that dramatic move down, I know that a divergence might set up. So sometimes I'll wait till that divergence sets up to sell. That's when I'm like really in the flow of things, when I'm really on top of my game. But if this just makes money goes negative, then this will be plenty of profit for my day. Man, you need to just break through this level up here. You break through this level up here, get a good closing bar, you probably see that positivity come in. So just as of right now, it's not looking the best. Oh, one thing I wanted to see. Oh, I guess I'm on YouTube. Make sure we're liking that stream today, guys. All right, Bloomberg Television, that's where you can see that. I'm going to go over to my YouTube really quickly. Better on my phone. Now we're seeing that surge upward for NVIDIA. No real surge happening in AMD. Maybe it wants to bottom out here. Just see if that 15-minute really wants to cross. This could reject and start to head higher. You're in positive territory still. That positivity can come in. Let's see if I want to sell out of anything. Really? Apple just looks too good to get out of yet, you know? Just look at this 2 hour. It's like, yeah, this thing could still just fold right over. It's making that low. Now I do need it to kind of make like a lower low than this to stay in it. So if I get some kind of bounce here, I need it to break through this level really. Let me see what you guys are talking about. Let's see. Spy on a 15-minute for any kind of divergence up here. No, there's no real divergence here across the way. If anything, this is actually a decent sign. If you're consolidating at a point where there can be that resistance and then you see that burst through, that's actually a good sign. So if you pull up a 5-minute even and you see this, we're starting to curl down. If that just curls up, you could see another big push up to 528.63. I might do that. That's actually a good plan. Kind of just like hold one. I mean, it's not that much money, to be honest, so I don't know why I'm like worried about it. I might as well just take it, but AMD, oh, finally, if we can get this to cross back up into positive territory, this dip down, grab some liquidity down in this area, so that would be very, very good if AMD can actually do that. NVIDIA actually seeing that second push higher, curling up on that 5-minute. Maybe we see another push here. Really want to see if this 2 hour can see that strength. Good buying back in from AMD or from NVIDIA here. Apple's still down almost 3%. So this here rejecting as of right now. So we have to see if that curls over a little later. For the AMDs. Yeah, I have a bit of AMD calls here. Just took a little play down in this area. 30-minute. Solid little structure here. Just waiting for confirmation on this 2-hour to stay in the play. If I don't see that if I don't see that confirmation today, I'll be out of AMD most likely. Apple holding above 173. Yeah, it's holding above this point right here. You really want to make that low, right? You want to make that low, come up, and then make that another one. You can see it kind of head and shoulders in here if you use this as a base. Left, head, comes down, get a bounce, right shoulder, get that to fully cross over, go negative. Maybe we create that divergence. That would create a daily divergence and a 2-hour divergence at the same time. So Apple could be a bullish move actually in the near future, which means maybe Nvidia goes up to 1,000, sells off dramatically, and people rotate into Apple. Now that could happen. Nvidia, that could take a week or so. But just know the market's sick out there, so be taking your profit where you can. Always be looking out for the next trade. Oh man, I chugged that. Sorry about that. Oh, IBM able to buy back up at this area here. I think this was 30-minute. We were looking for some possible divergences down here. Not the best. I know you guys are looking at this one too. Let's go look how this one's performing. Look at that. Good movement up. Some divergences down here for that double bottom. See if that wants to play out. We could see a positive move here. You do have a 30-minute divergence. You don't necessarily have a 2-hour divergence. You do kind of across the board, but the main one you want to pay attention to, daily divergence. See if this confirms. If that confirms, Intel's going to see a pretty good move here. All right, let's go look at the SPY again, see if that 5 minutes able to kind of base out, go a little bit higher here. If this thing just curls up just a little bit here, we could get a move. Now, you really wanted this to consolidate down. I wouldn't say you wanted this to consolidate up. That's kind of worrisome to me. You really wanted this to consolidate, I believe, down like this to get some room on this MACD to head higher. Right now, we have no room really on the RSI. You're actually seeing kind of divergence across the way on these highs here on the 5 minute. Okay, so you see those little divergences up here on the RSI. That can mean the bigger pullback is going to come later in an hour or so. And then we see that actually move higher. So we just want to pay attention to that. Qs, see how this looks a little bit better. When it's downward, you start to gain some room on this MACD. So if this can just pull back even for another few minutes here, even for another hour or so, just come like this, and then we see that curl up, that would be a good sign. This is bullish flag at this point. As long as you keep that structure up there, it does not look bad for the Qs. All right, Apple going and testing those lows again. I'm going to just take profit on my trade here. Oh, I had 3 contracts. Alrighty. Now we have that little bit of money to take a fun play if we want today, right? We got some money today, so we can maybe make a fun play. What should we do, guys? What should we do? Let's look at volatility. Do you guys think this could come back in? Well, I would really see if this 15-minute is able to get into positive territory, but really the 30-minute is what I really like. I like to see divergences on the 30-minute. So if we do get that volatility spike for a moment here, we could see that come back down in the future. But good point to be like, hey, volatility is pretty cheap. If you're thinking about hedging or anything like that, that's something I might actually do. Kind of look at some kind of hedge here. Maybe do some kind of play. Just, you know, even putting a few $100s towards UVXY or something like that, or investing in UVXY at these levels over the next month might be a good idea. That's just an idea to put out there. 0.65. So like I can literally buy, I don't know, something here. It's just I'm not convinced volatility is going to like pop tomorrow. That would be my black swan indication. But we're coming into an area where, you know, volatility can be cheap to scoop up. Now you do have that potential for that to bounce up to here, cross back down, then get some kind of 2-hour divergence. That's really what I like to see before I do it. But as I see that things are a little bit scary out there, I might go ahead and grab some of this. There. Now I feel safe for the next like month and a half. Look at that. Now I'm like, if anything bad happens, I'm okay. Okay, look at this. This guy curling back up. Not the best sign, right? So I'm okay. Let me go look for some trades out there, right? Let's go look for some trades. SPY hitting an area where we should see resistance. Qs, we can see resistance here. IWM, we can see resistance here. If that curls up, we can get that divergence soon. Apple starting to fall off. Maybe that crosses down. Maybe I was stupid for getting out of this trade, but I was up almost 200% at this point, guys. So I'm going to just chill with that. Something that I'm not going to trade Tesla, because I'm not going to trade any downside with that divergence, just because, boom, this happens. If you want to take that risk, more than welcome to do so. Amazon here, one that I could think about taking a play on. Look at the 2-hour. Do I have divergences? Well, yes, I do at this point. I could see Amazon dropping to lower levels. Now, will I actually take a play on that? Really just depends how things actually play out. Usually I like some kind of 30-minute behind this as well. So this actually could just base out, head higher. So I don't necessarily want to take any crazy plays at this moment. Like I can just sit on cash, right? Look at the dollar. My cash is getting some value here. So the longer I hold cash here, it's not that bad. VIX, God, I wish you would give me a better hint, dude. Wish it would give me a better hint on this thing. What else we got? We got NVIDIA making a little bit of a move upward here. AMD starting to... No, AMD's not moving. I'm getting out of that thing. That thing's not looking pretty. Meta here looking like a decent one to think about. Coming up into this high, if you confirm, right? You have to wait for those confirmations and things like that to take the trade. But the 30-minute getting pretty cooked as of right now. Microsoft, one that you could pay attention to, right? Microsoft looking like a decent play as well. Looks like it's coming up pretty high here. This thing's really been skyrocketing. So we want to just check, does this look like a decent thing? All right, 30-minute divergence, 2-hour. Let's look, does it have daily? Daily divergences there. So maybe Microsoft will be something I'll play. I like to look at the price of everything first. See, this one a little bit more expensive, but that doesn't mean it's bad. Ooh. Try this, see if this works out for us. Let me check that 30-minute again before I do anything. So yeah, I still want to see this actually confirm before it happens, but something big here. You got the cup. You didn't necessarily form the handle. So if we wanted to head higher, you might see that drop off first before it actually happens. So I can go into a shorter time frame, like a 15-minute. Okay, nothing really here. If I want to get very micro with it, I could say, okay, if there's one more push higher, maybe I get into this position. So that's really how I see it at this point. AMD still not able to curl up at this point. There is little 5-minute structure if this actually does see a move, right? There's a mini structure here, but you want to just see if this can curl up, go positive again. That might be a good sign that 2 hours about to roll over. Google actually dropping off pretty dramatically with that, probably because it's tied to Apple a little bit at this point. So that's something to kind of pay attention to. Meta starting to scoop down. It might be a top in Meta for this one right here. Very hard to turn this back around with this structure. Would have been nice if we more kind of flagged out for a little while there. Let's see. Let's see what the bonds are doing as of right now. We're seeing that. Want to dip down. Want to look not at a 5-minute, 30-minute here. So this is where you can create that steep divergence on a 30-minute, right? So we can pay attention to that for TLT. See if this 10-year, see if this wants to actually fold. I think if they start to see this happen, if they start to see this yield go above 4.362, something really, really bad can happen. So it might take some time for it to happen, right? We don't want to just say, oh yeah, something bad's going to happen right away. But this might force the Fed's hand because this will start to put a lot of pressure on those banks. The dollar really starting to scale up here, guys. So be very, very cautious. We might not actually see NVIDIA hit that $1,000 mark. If we do, it might not last very long, okay? So this 2-hour is curled up. We can see that positivity still come in. But if this wants to go to 1,000, we might not see it hang out there very long. AMD starting to slightly bounce and maybe go green again. That might be a good sign. But we're just seeing some bearish stuff throughout the market, right? We have 2-hour divergence here on Microsoft, Google starting to drop off. With that was a strong move too. But if this sets up that as a confirmed for sure lower high on the daily scale here, you notice how we can roll back down, maybe come back into this point of support here for a bounce. So this would be nice if we actually come down into this area and see that bounce. We actually could see a divergence here, and maybe we see Microsoft actually see that upward move. Netflix, one that we're paying attention to, just coming to that upside. You guys know my profit line, or my line where I thought this was going to get, was about 620. So we're hitting that level up in this area. Are we going to see that fade back down? Well, we could see some strength for a couple of days, but look out, because you got a triple divergence and almost a quadruple divergence forming down here on the RSI. So time to be a little careful. SMCI, solid little bounce here. This is one that you could have been in if you really just looked at that 15-minute divergence down in this level, and then you want to say, hey, I'm at a point where that support can come in. That's why I have this line marked off, right? This 909.82. Look like a good area for that to hold up, okay? So I see it come below that area. I see divergence. Okay, now maybe we get that bounce to come. So since this was a 15-minute, I want to see, did the hourly curl up? Yes. Okay, so now I need to wait for that to get to positive territory to fully remain in this for quite some time. But this has a very, very good shot as you're pretty deep in negative territory to set up just a lower high. So be very, very careful as you approach levels like this 1022. Even that round 1000 number right in this area would line up with that gap fill, and then we could see that start to drop off. Okay, so be very careful. If this just wants to curl up, curl back down, you're going to see that negativity continue. So even though we did get an overall bullish day from the Fed, be a little bit careful out there, okay? Moose Salid, thank you so much for the $9.99. Celebrate, everyone. Celebrate for the first, super on the live stream from Moose Said. Sorry, I said Salid. Said. Very, very much thank you. You guys know I really appreciate whenever you guys buy me that coffee. You know I love that coffee, and I might actually go get another one here in a second. But I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who comes onto this stream, donates. Of course, I really appreciate the donations. Anytime you guys are like, hey, this was helpful enough to actually give you money for it, that is actually huge to me. But you guys also are here supporting the channel. You show up every single day. You guys are telling me your ideas, telling me about your trades. I'm excited for you guys. You know I wish you guys the best. And even if you just show up, you like the stream, you're saving money to take the course, which is going to be, it's 50% off only for like another week or so. So that's something to think about. But Patreon member, you guys are fantastic. That's all I want to say. Sell Apple puts. Apple here, this thing you can hold longer. Just me, myself, I like to take profit in an environment like this. So Apple, though, if this crosses on the 2-hour, you can hold it if you are doing good with the position style. where you have it like a month out, you won't be hurt by little bounces. So the reason that if you wanted to have a shorter expiration and you want to take profit, even on a bar like this that looks really bearish and this could go lower, well, what if you experience a bounce for some kind of retest that takes you all the way into next week, and then we see that actually complete? Will that be more money in the future than what you made today? Because this really went up very, very fast. So yeah, someone came in and mentioned the DOJ thing. That is very, very interesting. If it's on Apple, I would highlight. I know it can go lower, but if you think of it this way, did you make enough money today that it would be helpful for your portfolio? Did you make enough money today that it would be helpful for your portfolio? Or are you willing to risk all of the money that you made for your portfolio that is confirmed today? If you hit sell, you would have it in your portfolio. You'd have that cash. Or would you like to take that risk of just some kind of bounce tomorrow? If you get some kind of bounce tomorrow with options expiration or something like that, the manipulation that goes on, is that going to really hurt you? Or would you rather, so it's pretty much, do you take the money you made now? Or do you take the potential for more money tomorrow and then risk losing that money? So I told you guys I was going to take profit at this low. But once I see, oh, well, we broke this. Now I'm up 200%. I sold right at this 50 here on the 2 hour pretty much, just in case there was some kind of bounce. And I'm a month out, but I made 200% on the position. So I'm good. What, am I going to be sad if this thing goes down further? No, I'm just going to look for the next trade setup. So I'm not telling you to buy, I'm not telling you to sell. I'm just saying you have to think of it in a way that's good for you. And good for you means, do you take the money that is good for your portfolio right now, or do you risk it tomorrow? Daily resistance on Apple, just pay attention to this zone. If you just mark off this zone, I'll click on it here. That 179.86 to 175.46, very, very good. Moose Saeed, if you are a part of the Patreon, that is very, very helpful for taking profit. So if you had a longer expiration like myself, what I would do from this is say, okay, this is major selling. If I'm going to hold this, since I have a month out expiration or a month and a half, what I would do is I'd say, okay, let me look at next week's range. What if next week's range looks like this, and then next week I see this go like that and then drop lower? I would take profit down at the bottom side range because that's where I could see some kind of bounce. Or if this just sells off dramatically down to that area, I would take profit at that weekly range. But as your expiration is dying out tomorrow, right? It's expiring tomorrow. You really want to get in that mentality of, is this good money for me right now? I am guaranteed this money right now if I hit the sell button, or do I want to risk it tomorrow? So if I really expect that move to happen fast, sometimes I take 2 week out plays. So 2 weeks to expiration. But most of the time I am taking minimum 2 weeks. Most of the time I'm taking 2 weeks to even 2 months, anywhere in that range. So the fact that, like, say I'm hedging with volatility right now, right? I'm saying I'm hedging with volatility right now. So what did I do with that? I took that about a month and a half, 2 months out. I believe it's 2 months out. So that gives me a lot of time in case something happens. Then if that pops up by 50%, I can take profit on that. And then it'll hedge anything that I have, say with AMD or anything like that. Because AMD not going the best for me today, right? AMD not going the best for me today. I didn't take profit up here or anything like that because it happened pretty quick. But didn't necessarily take profit. But I can hold this and see if I can get that move higher. Possible upside watch touched just a moment ago. Was touched just a moment ago. You have a doubt to if you should take profit, take profit. Yeah, and that's the overall. Yeah, that's actually a very good way to put it, Hector. That's a very good way to put it. So hopefully that was helpful, Saeed. But you see, if you're in the mode of like, oh man, I could take profit here. If you ever say this to yourself, like I remember this very early on when I was doing options. I think I had like a $500 trade out there and I made $500. I was about to hit the sell button and I was just like, man, this thing could keep going. I could make more than $500. But at the time, like when I was younger, I was like, oh, okay, $500 would be good for the growth of my account. This is a very good trade. So if $500 helps me Would I rather have the 500 or possibly only make $100 tomorrow? I'm going to take the 500. Long term in this context, it just depends your trading style. I know that everyone's trading styles are different. Mine is very much like, I think we're going into a bear market, which means you can see big swings. Okay, so here's the thing with a bear market. So let's say you're a position trader, you took a position here short, and we're in a bear market. Let's just assume we're in a bear market in this. Okay, well, a lot of the time in bear markets, we see this pull way down like this. You can be in a ton of profit, right? And then if you hold that position, we see those bear market rallies. Bear market rally can literally bounce you up like a huge portion. So you can bounce all the way up like this. Well, all of this work that you did, if you would have sold at this point, could now be ripped away from a little bounce like this one here. Now, if you're confident with it, if you have a longer out expiration, you want to hold through this, that's fine. But I'm just saying my trading style itself is very centered around like, hey, move back and forth, trade it here, wait for the 2-hour bounce, see that curl back down in negative territory. I can take profit here and then use that profit in the future as this is in a negative trend to take another one here. But I know everyone's different. I know everyone's different. Nvidia still can surge higher while the market goes lower. But look at Apple. That is a great move. I mean, I just really want you guys to think about your mentality while trading. And if I think Hector put it really well, if you're thinking at all about taking profit and that looks like good money for you, taking profit is probably a good answer. Take the profit. A small win is better than a big loss. Ask me how I know. Adam, how do you know? Were you 100% in profit one day and then literally 2 days later that gets all ripped away from you and you're down 50%? Like that has happened to me in the past, and that's why I've turned into the trader I am right now. I take my profit early. Hey, to see the truth, your comment about Bobes, I like them. That sucks. That's right, Hector. It does suck. You don't want to go through that multiple times. I've probably been through it a couple times, and then I just say, you know what? Whenever I get that feeling, should I take profit? If it looks good, and this was overall a small play, if I get some kind of reaction up next week and around that weekly range, maybe I get back into this. But I'm just seeing there are plenty of trades out there. If you click around, what if you like, okay, Apple, yes, this isn't a negative trend. This is a very good trade. But what if you see, I don't know, what if you see Meta? What if you see Meta giving you those divergences really close to the center line? What if you see Microsoft giving you divergences up in this area? You have a 30-minute divergence as well. You have a daily divergence. All of these things are very, very good to pay attention to because you could end up getting, you know, Microsoft to move all the way down to 400 by next Friday. And then you go, oh, sick. Okay, let me take profit there. So just moving back and forth in a market like this is good. I want to go check on volatility real quick. Someone was mentioning that. It's starting to buy back up from that area we were talking. Remember, how long have we been saying this 13 area is probably going to be filled before we actually see volatility come back in? How interesting would it be if volatility comes right back in as we fill that? That would be very, very cool. TLT starting to come down, so we're seeing this. Whoa, guys, where'd my 10-year go? Do I not have a 10-year anymore? Oh, god dang it. What? Why did that disappear? That's so strange. Okay, there we go. US 10-year here. I really just wanted to click on this to show you guys. It's curling back up, able to go positive on a 2-hour. Usually with the 10-year, I like a 4-hour. So really, I would really like this 4-hour. You see how it's like the 4-hour is a little better for me on the 10-year to see that upward move before the dailies actually cross. Well, the dailies already crossed, right? So if I want to see more positivity, that 4-hour is going to have to go up. Something like that, Adam. I thought you said the money in the market. It's just tuition. You have to learn. Yeah, I think that's actually funny if you were saying tuition. That's actually not the worst way to look at it. 4-hour, we might have a divergence here. No, okay, so no divergences here. Oh, sorry, that's a daily. I want to see 4-hour. So no divergence on the 4-hour. You're seeing that get oversold. We're seeing that volatility, but it's just a cheap point for volatility. So not the worst day to at least have a hedge out there against some of your trades. Nvidia, we're just seeing if this 4-hour crosses, that'd be bullish too. Maybe going on into next week. Good morning. Happy Friday. It's Thursday. All right, guys, make sure, hey, while I am gone, how about you guys send some likes out there? I'm going to put you guys on the spy on that 5-minute for a moment. I'm going to go make a little more coffee for myself. Actually, I like the Qs here. The Qs have some great structure. Look at that flagging. To say that we can't go higher here is silly, and the fact that the Qs actually could be consolidating to head higher means we could get that bounce in Apple. So this could be a reason to say, hey, now I have a reason on top of my emotions to take profit on Apple. And we can go look at Apple. What's Apple doing? Well, it's starting to get a bounce from an area here. Now it did cross this low, so most likely we're going to get a retest. But if this retest could ruin you by your expiration tomorrow. I just want to be very clear about that. Amazon consolidating at this level. We could see another push higher in Amazon. Tesla, we could see another push higher in Tesla because of that daily divergence. Coin, actually, I did look at Coin for a little bit here. Let me go see that guy. This was a great trade. If you guys were telling me about this, this is a great trade. Look at this, 30-minute divergence, boom, pushes back up, able to curl up the 2-hour. Look at that trade, goes positive for a couple more hours here. Couple more hours, you test this high. Look at that profit taking. You just made money in one day. Boom, that's a great trade. Now Coin, I can't really get the weekly ranges for Coin because it moves a little bit based on Bitcoin. So it's not, I've tried to do it before, it's not the best. But you had your resistance up in this area, you had your divergence down here, 2-hour curls up, you're confident in it for a little while, boom, there it is. Take your profit, guys. Because volatility is at a low here, which is very interesting. AMD might go positive here. So I'm going to leave you guys over on the Qs. Let's see if that flag on the 5-minute is able to actually play out for some upside here. Maybe we actually do go to that top side range. So let's just leave you here for a moment. I'm going to go get a little bit more coffee. And tell me in the chat when I come back, I just want to see who's bullish, who's bearish next week. Who's bearish into next week? Who's bullish into next week? Let's go with that. All right. Actually, let's just say bullish or bearish in the chat for me. I'll be right back. Uh-oh, lot of bears out there. Should we be contrarian? No. Guys. Oh man, I meant to bring down that coffee. I have coffee from Costa Rica. That's what I'm drinking right now. My dad went to Coast. One of his business partners actually owns like a. They build those crate homes as Airbnbs in Costa Rica, and so he gets to go down there like a couple times a year, and he always brings that back these coffee beans, man, and they're so good. But okay, let's see who's bullish and bearish out there today. We got. Let's see. Robert just telling us that Apple is bouncing, and that's why we're saying those bounces can rip you away if your expiration is very, very close. More Pando, a bear. More Pando, did you get out of that Amazon play? I'm wondering if you got out of that Amazon play. Scott, bearish. Happy Friday. Bearish AF. This is a scam market. Had to agree, but we can still go up, guys. So make sure we're trading like water out there. But as we are seeing Ryan looking pretty bearish out there, another Scott, duh bears. Dave Spangler. Dave, were you able to get that Patreon thing solved? Dave, I hope you're able to get that Patreon thing solved. I'm sorry that's happening, my dude. I tried to work with it yesterday in the morning the best I could, and then I was able to find an account with a certain email. So hopefully you're able to fix that. Damn. Okay. Yeah, hopefully I did send you that link for the help. I don't know what happened with it, but it does say you have an account under the email that I did send you on Patreon there. So look for maybe changing that password or something like that. How active are you with DMs on Discord or Patreon? I mean, some people can attest to it. Even Dave, me and Dave were messaging. Robert in here, we were messaging. You guys can tell them how much I am pretty active on that. Now, I would say as the Patreon grows, obviously it's harder and harder to get those messages, okay, to get people like to answer every single message, but I do get to them usually within 48 hours. I think the market may actually rip today, and it very well could. Look at this structure. This is great structure for the Qs to head higher. SPY, not as good of structure, but Qs, great structure on a 5-minute here to head a little bit higher. So we could be seeing some kind of move here. Maybe that could take us, I mean, I know that's very vertical. It might not play out like that, but you can see, hey, that would get us pretty close to our daily expected move. So we have to see if there's some kind of surge, maybe in NVIDIA. AMD actually going green here, so able to curl up on this 5-minute. That would be very good news. See if this 2-hour can finally roll up here. But AMD not looking very positive at this point. But should you have gotten out of this? Let's look at that 15-minute. Well, 15-minute hasn't crossed just yet, so you could get that rejection as you just get into positive territory. That's something to pay attention to there. Amazon still just kind of flagging out a little sideways. Apple, you see that bounce. Look where I got out. Right about, what is it, this wick right here? Pretty much this low, just below that low is where I got out. You can see if I just see a bounce here. The reason that I kind of get out too is just because if I wanted to take shorter expiration plays, all I have to do is see, okay, I see a bounce like this. All right, the 15-minute curls up and then it curls down in negative territory. I can take a short play here, play this bottom here, see that, test that level, take some profit. I'd probably even make with this amount of volatility here. Let's see, this move here, this would go from 175.50 down to 172.50. You'd probably make like 50 to 80% pretty quick on that. So yeah, there's ways to play it instead of holding for a very long time. I take like positions and then I just make my money and I get out. I'm not trying to hold for some kind of huge amount of money. The best way to make money in the market is the slow way. What do I think about QQQ? I think the structure here looks perfectly fine. I think the structure on the 5-minute looks perfectly fine, but I would be very worried about these 2-hour divergences that are still close to positive or negative territory down here, as you do have on the daily scale a bunch of divergences down here on the negative divergences up here, and you're outside of the Bollinger. You're seeing that buy back up really hard as of right now. Look at that, boom, which is kind of interesting because didn't we gap? Didn't we gap? We didn't give this up, so why is there a wick here? Am I crazy? You guys, am I crazy? Yeah, why is there a wick there? What the heck? And yeah, I do have some trend lines that go pretty far back. I have my trend line here. We're kind of trading outside of it. One thing that I was noticing was the US 100 is what I've been using. And you see that trend line is just above us here. We've touched it a few times. So I think we could come up just a little bit more on this here, which means the Qs go up just a little bit more. So where would the Qs go to? Well, they can go to that daily expected move, that monthly expected move up in there. Still want to pay attention to the VIX, see if we're seeing anything curl up. Coming out of the Bollinger, getting some upward move, some wicking out here. Just kind of weird to me that the Qs had this wick. Like, this wick shouldn't exist, am I right? I know this is like not the thing I should be paying attention to at this point, but this wick, it shouldn't be there. Right? It should be like this. That's so strange. Anyway, be careful out there. You are on Thursday getting outside of that range. Yes, we have that opportunity for something crazy to happen, but we also have a 68% chance to land in this zone, guys. So be a little cautious across the board there. Microsoft holding at higher levels. Google starting to stay a little bit higher. Really the one everyone's worried about going to be Apple. This is a Ponzi scheme market. Yep. Hi, I need, here's what I'm going to do, okay? I'm going to buy Apple, and then I'm going to convince you to buy Apple. And then afterwards, you are going to convince 3 other people to buy Apple. And then those 3 people are going to convince 3 people to buy Apple. And then at the end of the day, Apple's going to go up and up forever, and I'll never take profit, I promise. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. I believe you. Jump on the line. Nope, I can't sing on this channel. You guys, I got demonetized because I sang a song the other day. I sang like one verse of a song, I got demonetized. That's actually how it works. That's right. And then, once it gets to a certain point, I sell my stuff. While you guys are still telling people to buy Apple, I'll sell my stuff, and then I'll tell you to sell yours. And then you can then tell 3 people to sell theirs, and then those 3 people can tell 3 people to sell theirs, and then it can pull back to a point, and then once it pulls back enough, I'll tell you to buy it after I buy it, and then you can, yeah, that's literally how this market works right now. This is very interesting going forward, but AMD actually going to maybe see a pop higher for the first time really today. I mean, this was a good pop here, but you want it to hold. NVIDIA looking pretty strong here, but will this 5-minute divergence prove anything? I don't know. Maybe we need to go look at volatility. What's volatility saying? Well, it's about to go positive. The thing with volatility here, this is some flagging. I know, technical analysis on the VIX can be a little wonky. That's why I like to see it at the same time. But you'll notice this. We have a 5-minute flag here on the VIX. What do we have on the Qs? What do we have on the SPY? Well, we have a flag here on the Qs. So maybe we see this push higher, see the VIX drop down again. Just a little bit more. A little bit more. I feel like I was really zoomed in for a sec. Anyway, hopefully you guys are having a good time in the stream today. We're going to go for about... I'm actually going to do like 7 more minutes watching all this stuff with you guys, and then we're going to do a breakdown of every stock we cover. So let's just go over and check out. What would you guys like to watch for the last 7 minutes here? Who's got a suggestion? Looks like Microsoft could make another move higher here. Meta, we bought ourselves some room. We can make a little bit move higher here. Just be cautious up in this area, guys. This could all get ripped away tomorrow, unless we're going to see something crazy. You want to see the VIX for a while? SMCI, this could just roll back down at this point. So SMCI 15-minute, if this just wants to roll back down. Now you got into positive territory, so you do have that opportunity to base out, head higher going on into next week. Let's just watch NVIDIA. Actually, I'm down to watch NVIDIA just for a little bit here. Let's watch this 2 hours, see if we actually get that strength. You're getting a buy signal right now. People could be scared out by Apple, but we know positivity can come right now for NVIDIA. You want to watch cartoons? Yeah, I'm down. What cartoons did you guys watch growing up? Says a lot about you, just saying. Scooby-Doo. Do you hear Scooby-Doo might come out with like a R-rated movie or something? He-Man, DuckTales. Oh, what did I watch? You know, like when I was, no, I wasn't really like a kid though. I watched a lot of Power Rangers. I remember I watched a lot of Power Rangers. I'm pretty sure I was a ninja. I like Ninja Turtles. I was a ninja for like every Halloween. I think I was a ninja for like 7 years straight. Thundercats. Oh my God, Thundercats. You are young. No. You guys, I'm 31. About to turn 32. Flintstones solid. A Bug's Life. You guys remember when that came out? I remember we were like, I like wasn't that young and I still watched SpongeBob. I wish I was 31. Hey, that's fine. I don't think you wish you were going through the crying stuff. The Jetsons were good. Roadrunner. All these are pretty good. See that buying back up an Apple. When this buys back up to here, you're going to be very happy that you took profit. Even if this sells off tomorrow, just say, I made my profit. Old school Voltron. What the heck did I watch? Like 1,000,000 times. My mom said when I was like really, really little, like maybe 2 or 3 or something like that, I really liked Barney. And for some reason, I feel so embarrassed about that. Transformers was sick. But for some reason, apparently I liked Barney, and I was like, I think I told her not to tell people that, and then I just told you guys that, so that's a little embarrassing there. All right, let's look at this 5-minute on the Qs real quick, see if that's able to rotate up, as we are seeing a little bit of strength now in AMD and NVIDIA. But you guys, hey, this stays between all 118 of us. Don't tell people that I watched Barney. Vanguard doesn't believe the Fed will cut interest rates this year, and that is actually an okay take. I don't believe that they are going to cut rates. Actually, I think they're going to be forced to cut rates. I really do. I don't think that they can cut rates because of those inflation reports. They said it themselves. They're like, we can't cut the rates too early because we could invite inflation back into the market. Pee Wee Herman, that's right. Pee Wee Herman I watched a lot. We like had those movies. Coco Melon? What's Coco Melon? Anyway. We have some do's and don'ts. Our daughter will not be allowed to watch any of the new stuff on Disney or Nickelodeon. That stuff is trash and brain mush, and we do not want our daughter to be stupid. Tom and Jerry was awesome. We used to watch Tom and Jerry all the time. Me and my little brother used to sit and laugh about that. Weirdly enough, a weird thing that happened was when Lord of the Rings came out, and me and my little brother were a little younger than my older brother, right? Because I have an older brother too. He would chase us around and do a Schmeagol impression and like run around all weird. It would scare the crap out of me. I'm not kidding. No woke crap in our. So weirdly enough, at my old job, and when I was like, "Hey, yeah, I'm having a baby. Give me some advice." This guy came up to me. He was actually the wife. He was the husband of a lady who's like in politics. Apparently, she's pretty big in politics or something. I don't know what she did, but and I got to talk to them, and I was like, "Hey, if you had a piece of advice, what would you give me?" And they were like, "Don't raise a weak little," They were like, "Don't," or what'd they say? What was the words? We don't need more cupcakes, or something like that. What's the word that everyone uses? So pretty much he was like, we don't need more woke little cupcakes out there, so don't treat your daughter like a cupcake. And I was like, I love you. Like, you're awesome. Snowflakes, that's what it was. It was snowflakes. I was like, hey, I'm there with you. AMD finally seeing a little bounce here. Let's hope that that's not some kind of dead cat down here. That's only on a 5-minute, guys. So you really just want to see if this 2 hour is able actually to rotate up. Good shot, though, that this was a breakout retest of the area. Now we're breaking out again. So we have to see what happens here. Make sure we're not flagging or anything like that. So I might even draw something like this up, right? Just in case we see something happen. Kind of clone that bad boy. See if anything like that takes place. That would be not the best. If we close below 448 on the Qs, will that be bearish? You have potential for like island reversal or something like that, but I mean, honestly, this looks like we're not going to close at that level unless we see that ripped away by end of day. I really think we have actually, with this consolidation here, we have a chance for a move higher. Now we have to see, is that going to, fade if we go to the daily or something like that? Something to pay attention to. Nvidia's starting to see that's just trickle up buying like this. So a little bit worrisome. You're seeing some divergences on the 5-minute. Take those with a grain of salt. It's a 5-minute chart. You'd rather be looking at a 15 or something, see if you see divergence here. You're cooked on the 15. You're cooked on the 30-minute a little bit, but this can remain overbought for some time, guys. So be a little careful here. I would really just be paying attention to this 2-hour for some upside. Make sure that this thing is able to continue that strength in positive territory. Don't try to get overly bearish on Nvidia. Really, there's just other plays you could take, right? The Apple play was great. I'm sure some of you guys liked that. Ooh, this is actually a good one to pay attention to. This is good for in the past here, right? 2-hour divergence. I really liked this. Right? We saw that dramatic sell-off. Well, if you just took a chance at these highs, right? If you just took a chance here, maybe you even saw a 30-minute that got you into this move. When was this? Wednesday the 28th. Let's see what's going on there. Wednesday the 28th. Let's see if we had any divergences down here, if this thing will freaking load. And then after that, I'm going to go through every stock that we cover on this channel. Look at that. Look at that trade you got here. Mara giving you that 2-hour between these, the 30-minute here. There's your entry. Boom, you made money really fast. You might even be like, hey, I can ride this thing for a while because I know there's 2-hour divergence and that 2-hour can cross over the daily. Did that actually happen? Yes, it did. So you could have rode this thing all the way down. Now you're curling up above the 200 positive territory, able to get in there. You saw what happened last time. Boom, we could get a lower high here, or this could be consolidation to head up higher. So we want to see if it can test that high. But anytime you get this low and negative territory and you're creating those daily divergences, you have to say, hey, if this sees a strong move, it might not be too much higher here. So I want to just create a little line here, say maybe the maximum it can go is up to like 35.50. That's just an estimate, but I could see a strong move like this and see that triple divergence come in. You could see that play out. If you do just see this roll up, roll back down, negative territory, game over. You're probably taking out all of this base on Mara. Okay, I'm going to run through all the stocks that we do cover on this channel. Be very careful with that upside today. We have volatility at a low. We have some interesting things happening in the market here, okay? But we can still see that upside, so just trade like water out there when we're in that profit, like we were telling some people with Apple, right? We said that was a great trade. I took that trade. Now, the 5-minute here, see if that's able to rotate up on the SPY. That's a good shot that we're going to see this go higher. I do have this resistance right here with this trend line. I have this resistance here, but if you can consolidate at that resistance and then break through it, boom, you just built up that liquidity. You can go up. We could see this go up to the top side here. We'll talk about that in tonight's YouTube video if that comes to fruition. You're outside of the monthly and the weekly, so be very careful going into the end of the week. Yes, we can see a crazier thing happen, but you still have that 68% chance to land down here. So if you do take a play to the upside, I would suggest taking profit on that before close tomorrow. That's just a suggestion. Now the Qs, we're seeing that start to curl back up, right? This is one that I was like, this structure here looks really good. Look at this flag. Look at that flag. It looks so good. Cross up in positive territory on this 5-minute. I know we're doing short time frames here, but you could see that surge. You could see that surge. You could see an upward move here. We just have to see if that's going to last. Look out for a 5-minute divergence somewhere up towards this area. You are outside of that weekly, so you can pay attention to a 5-minute divergence up here to see if that kind of gives you a hint. We're going to lower levels. You just are overextended on a lot of charts here. 2-hour for the Qs, you do still have a point of divergence to pay attention to between this point right here. Okay, so you do still have that potential for that divergence here. This is why we didn't mention necessarily too much about the difference between the SPY and the Qs. We've seen it a lot in this run where we see that signal, right? And then the Qs just catch up to the SPY the next day. Literally, that's happened so many times. That's why we didn't talk about it too much, but you are pretty flat here. It looks like it wants to make a little move higher. That's what I would say. IWM, this was a little 30-minute divergence play we gave you, and that was just during the live, so not a lot of people were able to see this, I know, but you saw that play up. That's a good play there. Now you have a point of divergence again, maybe a double top happening, but you can head a little bit higher. That daily chart looks like it could roll around. Apple, this news here, not good for Apple. I already took profit on this. We saw the divergences, right? If you're on Patreon, you watched the little Patreon video, you knew about this before it even happened. And we said, look out for another push higher because that's going to set up the divergence and then it's going to fall. So now that the 2 hour is crossed, you can be confident holding this, but that's if you have an expiration date in the future, right? If you're expiring tomorrow, a little bounce can ruin you tomorrow. What if this bounces up and retests and then puts you back down to breaking even? It's rough to do that when you do have that expiration the next day. So if this is good money for you, if it will help your account, take profit on that if you don't have a longer out expiration. But this is telling you if now the next check is get into negative territory. Now, one thing about Apple, if you do see a divergence created down here, be careful because it could be creating a daily divergence and a 2 hour divergence at the same time down at this level. So if we continue to see that negativity. Tesla, one thing that I'm not necessarily trading. Yes, we see the divergences here. This could play out to the downside, definitely could. But the daily side, this is just my rule. It has a divergence. It's crossing as of right now. I just don't take puts on a stock that has especially a divergence and is crossing up on the MACD, right? So it's kind of like here, right around this point, it's like, oh, I could have taken a short here, but look at that, it consolidated for a moment and headed higher. So if I wanted to hold that for a few days, that would kind of ruin me, even though this is just flagging. So really what I would like to see, even from Apple, is this this daily to curl back over. Tesla even, I think that might just come fill this gap and then start to head higher. We have to see what happens before earnings. And more Panda, we'll look at AMD in a moment. AMZN, Amazon, seeing that curl up, but seeing some weakness come in. Okay, so this is the potential. You haven't crossed on this MACD yet. You have those divergences up here. You see them across the board. You look at a 2 hour, you're like, oh no, I have another point of divergence that's still close to negative territory. Be very careful going into expiration tomorrow. With things like Amazon and anything that's making an upward move. It doesn't mean you can't go higher. If we look at a 5 minute, you see that structure. It's not losing any levels. We can go higher. I'm just saying going on into tomorrow, you do have divergences that could confirm if people start to take profit. We don't want those algorithms to start to get involved. NVIDIA crossing on the 2 hour means that positivity can come in. Sure, we've had a wonky morning. We really have. But as of right now, holding back at the level where we pretty much started the day at. So we can see that positivity come in and maybe we see that surge tomorrow with that expiration. So really want to pay attention to that. One thing that's worrisome here is if we do head higher, you can create that 2 hour divergence and maybe we actually are correct in saying left. Maybe we create the head and then we get a right shoulder. So that'll be interesting. AMD just now looking like it might be able to curl up on the MACD finally. So we'll have to see if that's able to come to fruition here, if this actually can see a strong move going forward. This one is a little different than NVIDIA. This one is leaning more towards a lower high. I want to be very specific about that. So where could that resistance come in? It could come in here. It could come in here. It could come in right here. So we have plenty of areas. You just want to see if you're seeing that strong move up. Am I seeing any divergences on a 15 minute in this play to rip to the downside? Something you can do in the future if we do see a few hours, a couple days worth of buying rolls over, we could just see that bounce up, roll over. That's where we can see some serious downside again as we roll back down into negative territory for AMD. But it looks like we could see that little bit of a push higher. Meta, this is what we're going to be adding to the Patreon list as well. So we're going to be giving you the stuff for Meta here. And you'll just notice, what do? We come outside of that weekly expected move. That's right. If you're part of the Patreon, and we've been giving you these Meta moves for quite some time here, for a couple weeks. So now we're going to add it to the Patreon. You guys seem to like it. Look at this. You could have a 2 hour divergence right here. You could have double top 2 hour divergence on Meta. This thing can be ripped away very quickly. Okay, so be very careful at this level with Meta. You're coming up into the point where we wicked out plenty of times. We can go a little bit higher and wick out again tomorrow, but be very careful because you have that 68% chance to land back down in this zone. Microsoft, one thing that just looks pretty good, 2 hour divergence. If that can confirm, you can see it go back into this liquidity here. And this might be kind of like a false move upward. It comes back down, we get that bounce, and then we see that start to head down. So pay attention there. Google, maybe setting up that lower high. Doesn't necessarily look too bad to me. But this 30-minute kind of confirming that this might be a lower high. So really just pay attention. If this base is taken out, we might go towards the gap fill. I do have 140.97 marked off, though. This area here is where I'm kind of looking at. But 30-minute, very, very close to negative territory. Okay, so pay attention to all these things on the daily scale for Google. You're just going to notice, yeah, we got that upward move. Is this going to be a lower high? Well, what did we just say about AMD? This could be true for Google, right? So if we see this daily curl back down into negative territory over the next couple of days or 3 days, and then we could say, hey, there's a good shot we test this low, go make a new one. Maybe we come down into this this little trend line between these lows here, down towards like a 130 or something like that. Netflix still bringing out to the upside. A lot of divergences up here. Netflix is going to probably experience some weakness soon. You're seeing a lot of stocks that will most likely experience some weakness very soon. The 2-hour about to roll up on SMCI. Okay, so let's not, you know, this thing has moved like crazy for quite some time. Maybe we want to create a little thing like this at this point and say, hey, this thing could come all the way up to here, but I'm going to look out for some kind of divergence up here. That's what I would say about SMCI. It is pretty deep in negative territory, so you have a higher probability of also seeing that lower high come in. So pay attention if this thing just rolls up for a few hours and rolls back down, because that could mean we're breaking through here. Might be game over for SMCI very, very soon. Last thing I just wanted to check on was volatility. That thing came down to the area where we were expecting. That gap fill down here, we see it. I only wish there was that 2-hour divergence. Remember, that's what I was really looking for down here. Not necessarily seeing it at this point. Now you just want to see, when does this 30 minutes start to trend in positive territory? We noticed when we did see some selling in the market, what happens? The 30-minute remains in positive territory for a little bit, right? We see those big curl ups in positive territory for quite some time. We curl down, we see that positivity, divergence, we see the negativity come back. So as of right now, divergence, we see positivity come back. As of right now, not really a divergence down here. You do have it maybe on the 15-minute, but it's really far away from the center line. So you might get some kind of pop in volatility and see that drop again, give you some kind of divergence here. But good point in time to say, hey, volatility, betting on volatility, a little bit cheap out there. So I hope you guys had a good time here. Let me see what you guys think towards the end of the day. Let's see what you guys are saying as I'm heading out here. What do you guys think? Do you think we head upward? Do you think the Qs play out that 5-minute flag? Alex Castro backs. AMD probably going to rip faces soon. Which way, though? Which way is this thing going to rip faces? That's what I'm wondering. Little bit of puts coming into the market, by the way, but go back and look at AMD for a split sec. 5-minute able to join there. Bear just joined the chat. GT, that donation is going to pop up in a moment. $1.99. Thank you so much for that donation. We still have not gotten the blow off top, which I still think we get. The thing is, if you go back, you look at the SPY here, just from like a daily perspective, like really look at this. I mean, you guys, this is a blow off top. Like, look how fast that thing is going vertical. We didn't even do that back here, really. This is like, you know, what, 2021, that was when we really saw that big move like this. That just lasted for quite some time now. So this is a very volatile, very parabolic move. You're saying not a blow off top. Well, guess what? Like this thing, if it keeps going higher, I think that's your blow off top. Good news or bad news, it will keep going up until something breaks. Yes, I'm in agreement with that. I'm leaning towards a black swan. Be very, very careful going into tomorrow, guys. I'm just going to say that again. You're curling up on the MACD here in GT cuts. There's that super chat. Thank you so much for the $1.99. You are seeing that cross up on the MACD. I just want you to be a little careful as you are getting outside of the Bollinger. What do we do a lot of the time? We get outside of the Bollinger. We come back and retest the 5. So we do have potential to retest the 5. Before we head higher. All right, so reached the top for a year now. That's true. And I myself have been like, this is there. I try to point out the times where there is potential for tops. And this is another one of those times. Sadly enough, we're still in another one of those times where you could have this. But this coming up this high, guys, this coming up this high is starting to look like, hey, what if this just consolidates here for a little while, pops up one more time, and we see that kind of stretch out into April. Yes, and we can notice that from Apple. Look at Apple compared to the Qs right now. Qs way up here, Apple not, and this is a warning signal. Apple is one of the most popular stocks. It's a strong stock for the most part, and it is down at lower levels. Tesla telling you the same thing. It's like, I'm weak right now. I am weak in here. So we have to be a little bit cautious out there because you do have this market pretty much propped up by Nvidia, Amazon, Meta, those types of stocks. Seeing that upward move come for Amazon or for Nvidia right now, and AMD looking like it wants that push higher. So come back for tonight's video. Really want to express my gratitude for you guys showing up today. Really do appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who showed up yesterday and for the live video. Really appreciate it. We are going to have a YouTube video tonight. I know when I stream in the afternoon, I don't usually put out a YouTube video. So we're streaming in the morning. So look out for that YouTube video tonight. We're going to talk about a lot of these things and show some setups a little bit here. Thank you so much if you are part of my Patreon. If you enjoy those weekly ranges, I'm seeing people come in and talk to me about how their trades are going well. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I really just wish you guys all the luck in the world trading the rest of this week going into tomorrow. And if you want those daily ranges for every single stock that we cover on this channel, we are going to be putting that out on Patreon tonight. Okay, so you will get the SPY and the Qs for tomorrow. But if you want those full daily ranges for every stock that we do cover, including Meta now, join that Patreon, okay, guys? And if you want to learn more about this stuff, right, how I see the stock market, how I use these indicators and why I see them important, check out that course. You only got a week left of that being $100 before it goes up in price. So make sure to grab that. But I hope that you guys are having fun out there. I hope your trades are going well. I will never wish that your trades go badly, even if we're trading on opposite sides of the spectrum. But I really appreciate you guys coming by every single day. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you on YouTube later. Peace.